The chair was missing. Not broken, not moved. Missing like I was. Candles flickered across a long Roman table, dressed in linen, and Aragansumi mother-in-law's birthday cake waited at the center. Glossy and untouched, everyone was seated, everyone, except Memmy husband glanced over his wineglass and chuckled. "Oops," he said, "guess we miscounted." Laughter followed soft practice, cruel in its ease. I stood there, coat still on, the air thick with truffle oil, and dismissally counted faces instead, people who had toasted our marriage, people who had taken my calls at 3 a.m. People who now looked anywhere but at me. "Seems I'm not family," I said calmly. Then I walked out. I didn't slam the door, didn't rushy let my heels echo down the marble corridor like a verdict 30 minutes later, while they waited for courses that would never arrive. They learned the truth: the venue was canceled, the caterers gone, the musicians paid not to show, every reservation tied to my name erased. That was the end. But it didn't begin there. We met years ago, over cheap espresso and grand promise. She loved my quiet confidence. He said my competence, loved his ambition. The way he talked about building a life like it was a shared project. This family welcomed me with kisses, and Rulesy learned, Bodhi learned, where I was allowed to speak and where silence was preferred, mistook tolerance for belonging. Marriage came with contracts I read, and expectations I memorized. He handled logistics, she handled appearances. When his family planned events, they came to me, booked venues, negotiated rates, paid deposits. He was efficient, invisible efficiency passes as generosity until it's gone. The first crack was subtly pause before answering my calls. A phone angled away from me at night, a new tone. When his mother spoke my name lighter, almost relievy, didn't accuse, he observed. Betrayal always leaks before it floods. The proof arrived on a Tuesday, a message meant for someone else. He joke about me, about how I wouldn't notice, about how Rome would be easier without her moods. I stared at the screen until the words lost meaning and became strategy. I didn't cry, archived the message. From that moment on, I stopped reacting and started arranging. I checked contracts. The venue allowed cancellation up to 48 hours prior. Catering required 24. Entertainment was flexible if paid in full. Everything was booked through my accounts, my cards, my signatures. He had insisted on it years ago under the excuse of convenience. Control hides well behind competence. I waited. I smiled at dinner. She answered texts, helped plan the birthday celebration in Rome. The one meant to showcase family unity, booked a palazzo overlooking the Rivery, selected the menu myself, chose the table. Leoty noticed my name was missing from the seating chart and said nothing. The night of the dinner, I arrived on time, wore black knot morning focus. The missing chair was intentionality, was the final confirmation. The joke sealed it. Public humiliation requires an audience, revenge requires timing. I left and walked into the Roman 90, sat on a stone bench, and made 4 calls. Scum, voice clear instructions, cancellations, processed fees, waived apologies, accepted. He tipped generously. Justice should never look petty. When I returned to my hotel room, my phone lit up. Missed calls, messages, stacking like dominoes. Confusion first, then panic, then rage. They couldn't salvage it, not in Roma, not last minute, not without me. I went to sleep. The confrontation came the next morning. He stood in the doorway, pale, furious, desperate to reframe the narrative. He accused me of embarrassment, of sabotage, of being dramatic. I looked at him and felt nothing. "You laughed," I said, so I finished the joke. He threatened consequences, divorce, reputation, his family. I slid an envelope across the table, copies of messages, financial records, proof of my ownership in every shared asset. He'd overlooked. Silence followed, the good kind. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Power doesn't announce itself. It simply removes options. I left Rome alone. The city didn't mourn. Meet opened. Weeks later, the story circulating was that I was unstable, difficult, vindictive. I let it circulate, let them keep the noise. It kept the results. I took my name off, accountsy, took my silence backy, took the space they denied me and expanded it into freedom. Sometimes I replay that moment, the missing chair, the laughter, the way they assumed I would swallow it. They mistook my calm for weakness. That's common fatal sometimes. I didn't destroy them. He stepped aside and let them collapse under their own certainty. Revenge isn't loud. It's precise.